All right, guys, welcome to the NSL Weekly Podcast. We're going to call this the ASL edition because we have two ASL members. I guess the NSL members are too busy being dicks. I don't know, whatever. They're not here is the point. We have the Buccaneers from ASL and we have the Saints from ASL, so a very NFC South-centric podcast. You guys played each other. Let me ask you this from the beginning. Let's start with the Bucs. How do you feel about the Saints gameplay? A good opponent? Fun to play?
Yeah, he's a good opponent.
You ain't got to lie to me, man. You can tell me the truth. I mean,
he's a good opponent.
Okay. How about that, Saints? You played the Bucs a couple times. You happy he's in your division? How do you feel about his playing him?
I mean, if he can just go ahead and get rid of Mike Williams, I'll be fine. Or no, Mike Evans. My bad, Mike Evans.
I say Mike Williams. He is not on that team. Let's take a look here. Actually, the Bucs beat you week 1, 24-10. It was one of his 4 wins.
Yeah, it was a good game. I was really just trying to get used to how I'm supposed to be running in here. And like I said, his passing game is on point. His intermediate passing game. He got a bunch of big third down conversions with Mike. That was it. Turnovers, I think, too. I had 3 or 4 picks possibly.
Yeah.
Bucs also beat the Vikes. They're a quality opponent in this league. So, I'm sorry, they beat the Falcons. They lost to you 10-13. I'm sorry. I was thinking the Falcons. They lost to me by 15. You've had a pretty lost to some pretty good teams here, and not by far. You only lost to JR by 4. He is one loss in NSL with the Texans. Nemesis is a good opponent. Losing to him. Do what?
I always play JR too.
Yeah, you lost to him twice actually. So losing to him close is nothing disrespectful. JR is a very good opponent. Bearded Savage, I haven't played him yet. I got him 2 games coming up here. We'll see what's up about him. But it looks like you lost to him pretty good. But how do you feel your season's going, Bucs? We'll start with that. You only got 4 wins. You're not where you want to be. You're probably out of the playoffs. How do you feel about your season's going? What is your plans here going forward, knowing that you're not in the playoffs?
Well, my primary goal was to develop my secondary, which I think is still happening. I'm probably going to bench T.J. Ward and try out my rookie there, so I know if I need to stick with him or go grab somebody else come the draft.
Your offense pretty good. You happy with Jamies and Mike Evans? I probably need a running back if I had to guess, just off the top of my head.
A running back. I got Doug Martin out. He's on IR, and then I just lost Abdullah, which I had as a backup. So, hurting for running back now.
Hey, that happens.
All right, Kamara on the block in the offseason. Kamara.
There you go. It's interdivision trade. That's what I'm talking about. All right, Saints, you are not out of it. You are 7-3, just like me. One of your losses was to me, so that's not even anything to be ashamed of. It's losing to a 7-3 team. One of your losses.
That win was huge for me.
And one of your losses to JR. Yeah, and you just beat the 49ers. Oh, Rabbit has been on a roll lately. He has that stud, very young team. How do you feel your season's going? Do you feel like you're a contender here at the end, or?
Well, when I came in first, I realized the dude had signed Breeze. We got that figured out. I was able to take a quarterback. But the biggest move, I think, was the draft, in that I was able to grab my linebacker, number 2 overall, and trade up and still grab a first-round quarterback.
You have a rookie, if I remember right. He missed a couple throws against me, if I remember right.
Still working on things, but no. And then coming in, I knew JR was big. I knew he knew what he was doing. So I was like, he's the main guy I got to beat to take this division. And lost to him early, but I've been able to get some wins, mostly on the quarterback. My biggest issue has been running the ball. I can't get anything going. I lost Peterson. I've lost Kumara in different times in the season, and I can't get anybody rolling. Other than that,
let's talk about that.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You finish it.
I was just saying my defense has been keeping me in it.
Okay. All right, let's talk about these injuries. I know a lot of people hate them. I'm not going to lie to you guys. As the owner of the league, I'm loving them, and I'm one of the ones hit hardest, especially in ASL. NSL is pretty bad, too. I lost my quarterback for 6 weeks. I had Breeze and Bradford both out for 6 weeks. I'm rocking with Hackenberg from Penn State.
You got 95?
So Buccaneers, you haven't been hurt as bad, although you did lose two very huge pieces, especially in Deshaun Jackson. That's a deep threat right there. But you also lost Doug Martin. Besides that, you haven't lost a lot. How are you feeling about these injuries, and do you feel like they're realistic in a league sense?
Yeah, I think the injuries are realistic. Both of those hurt, and I hate they happen, but at the same time, like, it's part of the game. Like, the injuries are realistic. I don't have any complaints.
A lot of people see, and one of the complaints some people have is, yes, this is realistic, but it's not fun. And I can see that, but at the same time, I find personally my enjoyment, I guess I'm the one that matters the most since I run the leagues, I find enjoyment out of using backups and having depth on your chart rather than using the exact same plays, people every week in and out. I like the injuries, and I'm about to read off mine in a second. We'll go to Saints next. They only lost Kamara and Muhammad, who is a rookie, looks like maybe. So you're only down two people right now. What are your thoughts on the injuries?
Well, I mean, you just have to go and look at the NFL injury reports because they're way longer than any injury reports that are in the league right now. And if we're trying to be sim, then, that's just what we're going to have to deal with is real-life NFL injury situations.
Yeah, and I've noticed one thing when you're playing a lot of games, sometimes these people will go out just for the game. You'll have 4 or 5 injuries in a game, but it's just going to be out. A lot of them will be just out for the game. And I hate to say it, but that happens in the NFL. I've seen that numerous times where players just go out for the game. Xavier Rhodes was unable to finish the game last week, but he's back this week, So that happens. And I feel like where we're at right now, I know a lot of people hate it, and I'm sorry, guys. But I'm liking where it's at. It's causing depth. And to prove that I'm not hating on it, you take a look at my ASL roster here. I've lost Danny Shelton, Zietler, my quarterback, Kaiser, who is way better than he should be. You can ask Saints about that. He's making some throws. Coleman.
He went out pretty early, actually.
I think he scored a touchdown for him went out, though. I mean, he was that good. He's definitely good. He's way overrated in this game. Tanny's been doing it all right for me, but I also lost Sherber and McKinnon. So I've lost my number 1 right guard, my number 1 defensive tackle, my number 1 quarterback, my number 2 wide receiver, and my number 1 halfback. And I'm still sitting here being like, yeah, I think we should roll with injuries where they're at. So they're hitting me harder than most people. Don't know why. It is what it is, but I'm working through them. I'm still 7-3. I'm still in the playoff hunt, and these guys will be coming back right at the perfect time. Kaiser will be back in 4 weeks. I hope Tanny can come back. Funny story about getting Tannehill. I honestly didn't want Tannehill. The dude asked me for Cody Kessler, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really have any reason to trade my backup quarterback. I guess if you throw me a severely, a good veteran, I can take him. I think I ended up giving him like a third and Kaiser for Tannehill. Very lucky that I did it now because it happened to pan out, and Tanny's been really on fire for me lately, so I'm really happy about that. All right,
what's his speed rating?
I do not know, but I've been running. I know I've been running the read options with him. And I'll run read options with anybody. I was running them with Bradford and NSL, so I don't really care.
Run that wildcat formation where he's out wide. That's his natural position in college as wide receiver.
It's true. He's a good wide receiver too. I might throw him out there. Hey, you never know. We'll see what's up. I like what he's doing. He's definitely handling his own out there. Really good on play actions. All right. Next, we're going to go up with some who's the toughest player you've played in ASL so far, Buccaneers. Who's that one guy you played and like maybe he's your rival and he just like you enjoy playing his games and it's a tough game every week?
JR.
Ghost. JR,
hands down. I played him. I got a chance to play him like both times last season, and I played him both times this season. Like all our games are close. I think either one of the games has been won by over a touchdown.
Hey, JR is a good person to have a rival with. I actually ended up giving him a loss this season in overtime. He was at my 40, threw a pick six to Richard Sherman, and I took it back to the house. So I was very happy with that. That's probably why I'm getting all these injuries. My team was too good. They had to put me back down. Way too many. All All right, how about you, Saints? Who's somebody you've played in an ASL that is just a very good competitor so far? You like playing them. They're tough every week. It's a 50-50 game. Who you got?
Well, I'll start with you. You own the league. Obviously you got a target on your back owning the league. I want to take you out. That's why I went in going, trying to do. But, you played great. You threw well. The defense really was where it was at. Other than that, I would probably also go with JR. That's another guy that plays good defense. He really used McCaffrey well. That was probably the difference in that game was McCaffrey. And as we saw, he does use him a lot because he's on suspension list. So
he is on suspension. So that is true. Did either one of y'all get hit with a suspension?
Nope.
I did.
You did? Did it? Or did? Okay, good. Congratulations, guy. It's a lot of people got hit with those suspensions. I promise you, these are real NFL stats. JR was given a stat about McCaffrey this year catching the ball more than other people, and if that holds true, we're obviously going to adjust it at the end of the year. But we've gotten the max. These are the numbers we have aren't averages. They're the max numbers we've seen in the NFL in like a 3-year span. They're not like the bottom tier. They're not an average. They're not something. They're the NFL's best are hitting those numbers, and we're just trying to keep those numbers below. I know it's hard sometimes. I know sometimes opponents press way too much. I know you don't always get to play a quality opponent that shuts you, down. But, or maybe I've had that myself with Diggs and NSL, man. I had 3 games in a row. People just were not respecting Diggs, putting no safety help and pressing them. And I'm like, it's Stephon Diggs. You can't do that.
Those are the only 2 complaints I've had stat-wise, was peeking the season stats, saw Chamberlain for the Cardinals, and I was like, ooh, that's a little bit much. And then the first game I played against JR, I was like, man, he hit McCaffrey a lot. But those are literally the only 2 statistic issues I've had all season as far as, looking at it or experiencing it. So, people are –
it happens to everybody. JR's an NSL vet, too, so he's been in the league a while, and he still gets hit with a suspension. It happens. It is a video game. We can't make – it's not going to be perfect all the time.
If you get your open, what are you going to do? Not throw to them? Like, what are you going to do, throw a pick?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You got to throw to who you got to throw to. It is what it is at times. It's not – like I said, it's a video game. We're just trying to keep people where they need to be as best we can. And it's not always fair. I understand that. It's not always, if we watch your games, you're not cheesing. The yards per catch thing was actually put in place a couple years ago because the streaks were so overpowered and people were John Rawson and who was it back? It was somebody else back then. Just every play, just Cook. I think it was Cooks back then. Yeah, and Perriman. They would just easy. You'd be in cover 4 and they beat you deep. I'm like, what sense does that fucking make? Like, how you get beat deep in cover 4? I think they've toned it down a bit this year. I rarely hit Diggs.
Interactions with the line really kind of did a lot with that too, as far as stopping.
Yeah, I've noticed that. So, and obviously, if there's something we can go back and address, we will. Like I said, if you have proof of what we're saying is wrong, please, by all means, send it to us. Like I said, JR sent us saying McCaffrey is at a league record amount of catches. And he plays a lot of he does play a lot of slot receiver for the Bengals, too, which kind of changes things. So I don't think JR uses him as a slot receiver, though.
No,
that would obviously change things. So it's a very tough way to judge, but. All right. Next, we're going to go into, like I said, it's only ASL guys here, so I'm not going to talk about NSL. None of them felt like joining, so they don't want to podcast.
Charles. I see Charles down at the bottom.
Charles? That's me, man. It's my real name. July 4th, Charles.
Today I learned.
Yep, that's my real name, Charles.
I was just a dude that had his mic off, was just sitting in the chat, like, not saying anything.
No, that's me. It's me all day. July 4th, Charles. However you want to say it. I got no shame, man. I got some of y'all on Facebook. I don't hide my shit. I've got nothing to hide.
Why the July 4th thing? Is that just,
I actually, this is a funny story I'll give to you. My last name is Larson, and I'm the 4th. So I combined those two. My gamer tag used to be L4RSEN. So the 4 instead of the A, so it'd be L Forson. Problem is, when I was playing people, they would take that, and if they would beat me in Call of Duty or something back then, they would call me L4Skin. And I wasn't a big fan of the L4Skin moniker, so I decided to change my gamer tag into something unique. I went through about 100 names that were taken. I didn't want something stupid like blah, 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 X015. I wanted something unique, nothing on the end of it. So I went through quite a few things. Actually, I wanted something I thought as a patriotic route because I'm a fairly patriotic guy. And ended up getting some dates, and I'm like, well, let me try. I think I said maybe September 11th. That didn't work. I think July 4th just happened to work, and I'm like, hey, that's a date, man. That's unique. Nobody else has it. There's no numbers at the end of it. It's identifiable. People know who I am. So I just got tired of being called L4Skin is why I changed it, is why that's my name. And I wanted something unique. Fun story about that. All right. I know you guys are in multiple leagues. I know you're not only in ASL, but what are some things that you believe ASL maybe does better? And I'll even take some criticism, maybe some things we could do better going forward. We'll start with you, Bucks, than other leagues.
Honestly, I have to give credit. I think this is the best run league that I'm in. I honestly wish my other leagues were more like this because the gameplay is realistic and it's actually enforced to be realistic. It's a couple leagues that advertise themselves as like sim leagues, but once you get in and you experience the gameplay, it's not a sim league.
Yeah, I agree. Part of the reason why I created NSL was just for that reason. I was in a sim league that's just claiming simness, and then I'm seeing the most unsim things happen, and I'm like, we're just going to let this happen. We're sitting here calling ourselves a sim league, and we're going to let. I was an admin in that league. It's like we're calling ourselves a sim league, and we're just going to let this shit happen. Like, even if I'm doing something.
I've been on a desperate search for a second league, and the first thing I do immediately is I go to season stats in their daddy leagues, and you just have to look at where they are on the schedule and what the stats are, and how immediately you can tell the way the league is run. I mean, because if guys are having you're 6 weeks into the season, you got 1,200 yards receiving. Well, what are you doing? So that's probably the number one thing that I look at is just the season stats. So I'm looking for another league because it really goes to show how it's run.
Yeah, ASL is very well run. I got to give Rabbit. I always give him credit for this, and but it's all Rabbit. It was my idea to start up a second league, but I would have. I ain't gonna lie. I was willing to give up on it well before Rabbit was because there were some. When we started it up, there were issues with people coming in, and it was just we weren't getting the talent we required from it, and it was just like people were coming in, they weren't following NSL standard rules, and I'm like, this is terrible. Why are we even there? People aren't playing, and when they are playing, they're playing shit. We're not getting anybody to call up from this. What's the use of doing it? Rabbit's like, hey, give me another few weeks to iron this out, man. And I was like, all right, you're running it. It's your ball. I just don't like the NSL name attached to this because it's not what we're about. Rabbit got it turned around. Now ASL is a finely tuned machine. I feel like it's not that far behind NSL. Obviously, we still got to give some feedback to the ASL guys a little bit more than the NSL guys, but that's normal. I feel like there's multiple people in ASL right now. I'm ready to call up at a moment's notice, and that's awesome. Because I don't know if you guys are here at the beginning in NSL and beginning of every Madden cycle, it seems like you lose a little bit more people than you want going into that first season. People didn't realize that they don't have the time coming up or something like that. They forget the rules over the off season. I don't know what it is. We caught some people cheating this year, and that sucked because that was two vets, been in the league for a very long time, and we had to let them go. You can't let cheaters get a second chance. Cheating is the one thing where we like to strictly enforce getting them out of there because you got to take a loss and you got to take what happens. But stuff like that. So it's nice to have people in here.
They were cheating?
What happened was the game was in the third. Dude was getting blown out. It was the Bengals and somebody else. Can't remember the other team. wasn't Steelers, but it was the Bengals and another team. Bengals was getting blown out by like 30. Sent the dude a message. He had just lost Andy Dalton for 6 weeks and another guy for a while. Sent him a message, is like, hey man, can we just quit the game and so I don't get these injuries? And the other dude was like, I don't care, I'm winning as long as they get the sim win. He sent me. So what happens? They quit the game, didn't realize it recorded the stats. They sent me a message saying, hey, the game disconnected. And because of some weird shit, but when you go look at the stats, you could tell that what they were telling me was completely unfalse or untrue. So I ended up essentially just calling them out on it. One guy sent me the messages they did, and they both got the boot because of it, because it was pretty clear that they were lying to me at a certain point. So yeah, stuff like that's cheating,
Yeah. Yeah, I know that that's hard because this was better to defend around, but it also sends a message to the newer guys that if you break the rules, you have to suffer the consequences.
You don't want to lose a guy that's been in your league for 4 years, like the Bengals owner was Carson. He had been in the league for 4 years. He'd been a good owner. He's been, he's had great seasons. He's had bad seasons. He generally didn't cheat. And he felt like he deserved a second chance. And I'm like, dude, cheating is the number one thing to get you out of here. You gotta trust who you're playing with. So I mean, it sucks, but you just gotta. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys. It's hey puppy. It's I have a lot of responsibility. I have a lot of opportunity to cheat myself, and I don't. So when I see you guys, I expect the same standard from the people who have less opportunity, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, commissioners got the power. I mean, they can change everything.
Yeah. Actually, one thing that I had noticed, and this is an example of something that I had noticed, and I try to play the game fairly, is that Richard Sherman somehow had 90 speed. I didn't do the ASL rating, so I think maybe this got confused with Rabbit somewhere. Maybe something happened. But I was talking to JR because he traded for Richard Sherman in NSL. We were comparing Richard Sherman's, and I noticed my Richard Sherman had 90 speed. His had 88. And I'm like, well, how come mine has 90 speed? We're not allowed to adjust speed. So even if they had XP to do it, they couldn't do it. I don't know what happened.
88 speed personally, but
yeah. So the thing is, I had to go back and change Richard Sherman's, and nobody noticed it. Nobody called me out on it. But as the owner, I went back. I asked Rabbit first. I'm like, hey, do you know why he has 90 speed on mine? He said no. So the adjustments were made before I traded for him. So it was definitely nothing I did because I didn't adjust my team. But I went back. I had to put him back to 88 speed, even though nobody else knew except for me. So that's the kind of integrity I asked from you guys too. Like, I didn't have to. There's nobody would have called me out on it. There's no way anybody would have known. That being said, I still changed them back because it's the right thing to do. So it's the kind of integrity I expect from you guys. Saints, I didn't ask you. What are some things you like about this league? Maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse than other leagues.
Yeah, I mean, this is easily, the best run league I've seen. I've said it numerous times. It's just, this is the epitome of what a commissioner and what an admin group needs to be doing. Is, the podcasts are extra. That's extracurricular, of course, and things like that. But like, I don't know. There's only 2 of you guys, and it's the most well-run league. I've seen leagues with 5, 6 admins that are shit. I don't understand that.
Story. Oh, we do have help. We have Extreme 08. We have Bates and JR. We've got people that help. JR updates the stats. There's a lot of things that are on a timer that people do as they're, so it's not just me and Rabbit, but me and Rabbit make the majority of the decision. We actually had a core of 5 admins, but we felt like it was too cluttered. We weren't getting decisions through. There were too many dissenting opinions. So what happened is I went down to just me and another dude from NSL named Lacey. and Rabbit was in charge of ASL exclusively. Lacey didn't have time for Madden this year. We had so I let him go, and I was like, all right, me and you are going to make all the decisions from now on. We're going to do what we think's best for the league, because that way I think you have a clear and easy path to getting where you want. It's pretty much what happens is you see what you want to do, and you make the decision to go forward without 4 other people giving you reasons why you shouldn't. Sometimes it don't work out, but you don't do anything crazy, because I still have Rabbit here, or I'm here. They give you an idea. You're like, hey, I'm not sure that's what we want to do. So I honestly think having too many admins hurts a league, because you have too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. Nobody's in charge of. Nobody has a direction for the league. I have a specified direction for the league, and that's to be the Simmons League, the most well-ran league out there. That's my goal, and everything I do.
Consensus opinion.
Yeah, and everything I do is to get it in that direction. There's some other leagues out there that might have a little bit more money than me, like Bomber. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Bomber. They have an insane production value. They do these YouTube videos, and they got this fancy shit. But you know what? I've been in their league. Our league is ran better with better players and more sim. Nobody is above Reprise in this league, and that is something that a lot of leagues show favoritism. I've noticed that too. You get the JR is a good friend of mine. I game with JR all the time, and you see he still got McCaffrey suspended. People were asking me. I had Diggs over the yards per carry, and in NSL, I was like, "You gonna suspend your own guy?" I'm like, "Damn sure, straight I am. I've got to. I can't not suspend Diggs if I suspend other people." So, but yeah, I agree. I appreciate the. Is there any advice you'd give us to make us maybe do a little bit better? Either one of y'all?
Go ahead, Bucks.
I think it's a well-oiled machine the way it is.
I appreciate that. That's definitely what we strive for.
I didn't hear what he said.
Maybe not. Oh, he said it's a well-oiled machine. There's very few complaints. We still have another league we plan on starting up called ESL, which is going to be Extremes League, which is going to be a completely simmed league. No games played. You just create your roster and go forward with it. Yeah. So, but we had there was so much activity in NSL and ASL this year. It might be a next Madden thing, or it might be coming towards the end of this year, because I think ASL and NSL are pretty much on autopilot at this point as far as games getting played. I noticed there's very few sims every week. That makes me happy. I know that was a problem at the beginning of the year. I appreciate you guys playing your games. In NSL and ASL, even though there's not any people in this NSL podcast. So I appreciate that.
Madden, so I'm like ready for Vance in the early afternoon.
And believe it or not, NSL advanced Tuesday instead of like Tuesday night, Wednesday, like very early Wednesday morning instead of Wednesday night. So they killed it in that league. There was only one game to be played on Wednesday morning, and they knocked it out. So we're killing it. Very happy with the advances we've seen. Very happy with the activity. Keep it up. The draft's coming up here. It's going to be another good draft, and hopefully everybody resets. Hopefully the Buccaneers come back stronger. I want to say I played both of y'all, and I want to say both of y'all's games were very sim. I had no issues with them. I don't think I gave either one of y'all feedback. So you keep up that, man, and you'll be in NSL in no time. I know NSL is a little bit more solidified now and less activity, but I promise you keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to get called up. I had no problems with either one of y'all games. I think y'all are very capable NSL members. You don't cause any drama in the chat. You guys are prototypical NSL people. Just keep up doing what you're doing. You'll be called up sooner rather than later, okay?
All right.
All right. There's not a lot more else to go. I know we don't have any NSL guys, so I just kind of wanted to talk to some ASL guys, maybe have an ASL-centric podcast, get to know some ASL guys and what it's like being in the lower leagues.
You got two of us.
Lower developmental league, I should say, not lower. It's definitely not lower. The competition is equal across the board. I will say that. All right, guys, that's it. Do you have anything to say before I go, Bucks?
No comment.
Okay. Sage, you got anything to say before we go?
See you in the bowl.
I'm not making it there. But
Take the
you
fun out
might.
of everything,
I'm not
man.
making it. I don't have a team, man. My whole team's on IR. I'm a Richard Sherman or Earl Thomas injury away from having no defense. I'm not making it. But all right, guys, nice to talk to you all. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.
All right.